It is 6:05, and so I'm going to call the February 20th meeting of the Ann Arbor Independent Community Police Oversight Commission to order, and ask Ms. Cummings to call the roll, please.
All right, we're going to do roll. Chair Carter.
Here.
Commissioner Hoffman.
Here.
Commissioner Phillips. Commissioner Milburn. Commissioner Pickens. Here. Commissioner Maribon. Commissioner Green. Commissioner Haynes.
Here.
Commissioner Eliakim.
Here.
Commissioner Francis.
Here.
Councilmember Song. Here. Councilmember Harrison. We have four.
Thank you. And we did know that Commissioner Phillips and Commissioner Milburn were not going to be here, so I appreciate everybody letting us know if you're not going to be able to make the meeting. So everybody will take a look at the agenda, please. And if I can have a motion for approval of the agenda.
So move.
Thank you. Second? Second. Thank you. The agenda is approved as prepared, and hopefully everybody has had an opportunity to look at the minutes. And so I'm going to ask for approval of the January 2024 minutes. Somebody. I need a motion to approve the minutes. Thank you, Commissioner Eliakim. Second. Thank you. No discussion, no changes. All in favor of approving the minutes as written, please signify. Any opposed? Good, very good. Are we set up for public comment?
We are. Okay. For the ones online, is there anyone here in person that would like to do public comment? You'll have 3 minutes to speak. There will be no public comment at the end, so this is the opportunity now to speak if you're in person. Okay. Go over here. And we don't have anyone online for public comment. So no one here for public comment, and we will continue.
Thank you. Okay, so the report from the chair. There's a lot going on. First, Black History Month. Thank you. I was wishing everyone a happy Black History Month. It's important that we recognize where we come from in order to be where we are. Secondly, I just wanted to acknowledge that there was a report the other day, and it was in Minnesota. 2 police officers were killed and 1 firefighter were shot. The 3 of them were shot and killed. And you know, we need to publicly acknowledge that we certainly are interested in the safety of all of our first responders. That was a call that started off as a domestic issue and wound up with 3 people dead. And I think we need, as we talk about unarmed response, those kind of situations can turn dangerous and even deadly pretty quickly. So, we do send the condolences of the commission to that department and the family of those officers. Okay, there's a lot going on. I don't know if any of you saw, I think it was Sunday's paper, could have been Saturday's, something called the Prosecutor's Transparency Report. This was an investigation and analysis of potential racial disparities in the decision-making process at the Washtenaw County Prosecutor's Office. And it was a collaboration between that office, and there were a couple of other groups involved, and it was through U of M as well. And the study was recently completed, and they just published it. The big headline in the Ann Arbor News was police 4 times more likely, let me see if I wrote the actual down. Police 4 times more likely to request a warrant for black people than for white people. It's a long study, and I had just started reading it, and so I did read the executive summary. I didn't go deep into it. I don't believe that it separated out Ann Arbor from Ypsi from any other community in Washtenaw County, and it spoke generally about what they say is going on. Yeah, police 4 times more likely to request charges for black people in Washtenaw County was the headline. So hopefully it's online. If you get a chance, pull it down and take a look at it. It is a long study. You know, when these studies are done, sometimes you have to say, and I'm not a data person, as you all probably know by now. So I can't comment on the way the study was done. But I question a couple of things about it. Just for anybody who watches this tape, what happens when the police are called or come to the scene of an incident, and they take a police report, and then they will go to the prosecutor's office and request that charges be filed against the person. So the issue is, are more requests being made for black people? I wonder, you know, the black community is also, I think I've heard, 4 times more likely to be victims of crime. And sometimes the community will call and request that police come to that neighborhood. So I don't quite know what these statistics mean. But it does sort of lead me into the next issue that I wanted to bring up. How many people were here in 2022 when ICPOC prepared a resolution? It was a resolution to City Council regarding Ann Arbor traffic transparency. And Dr. Carpenter, were you aware of that resolution? Yeah. So
it's mentioned in the report that
right. And then part of it was information that Dr. Carpenter had used for the previous study. So this resolution, it's called the Resolution to City Council regarding Ann Arbor traffic transparency. And we asked for information so that we can tell what's going on. And that's sort of, when I read the study that I just talked about that was in the paper recently, I was wondering, you have to, in order to really tell if there's a racial disparity, in my opinion, and again, I'm not a researcher, you'd have to know, okay, of the requests for warrants that were presented to the prosecutor's office for similar conduct, let's say for, I don't know, having a gun in the car, whatever, what people were charged and what people were not charged, and what was the race of the people that were charged and the people that were not charged. And what about people where there was a gun in the car, there was a stop, but no charges were recommended? So we have to have data. In order to be transparent, we have to have the data. So, Chair Stalbeck from the Human Rights Commission and myself asked for a meeting with the police department because we said, well, we're supposed to be getting all this information. And where is it? Is it being collected? And we may well ask Dr. Carpenter to do another study in a couple of years, and we need the raw data. What we were told is, oh, you passed this resolution. I went to Legistar, I went to look it up, and it said that the resolution had been I sent an email to the city clerk, and she responded, and she said, no, that just means we accepted what you said, thanks. So, and maybe, Councilperson Thompson sort of illuminate us, but anyway, we have to apparently pass a resolution asking for action, even though this one asked for action.
That one was transmitted to mass communication, not for action.
That's what I was told. It was just a communication.
Yep. So under the resolution section of the agenda, typically, right, it has to be sponsored by a council member. So Representative Councilmember Saunders of the first vote. One that was passed in April 2022, that was only transmitted to the mass communication, not for action.
Yeah, so there was conversation at the time as to how we could actually make this into like a procedural kind of practice, and we did have monthly meetings with our city administrator, Tony. We heard this was, and then this was with the previous chair, and that there wasn't an issue getting the data, and that the administrator's office would make it a practice of issuing that data. And I think Councilmember Harrison and I just kind of assumed that was happening. And it has not been. The last I checked was, I think, in November again. I did follow up saying, is there information update on police data? And then I think Administrator Dohoney asked what police data. So I think we have to be very specific. I actually should have responded to specifically, it was the traffic stop data that we were looking for.
Yeah. Well, and I was told, well, Stephanie, look on the police dashboard. And I said, well, this asks for information to be transmitted to ICPA, not put up on the dashboard. And then we said to Dr. Karpiak, and for reasons that I'm not a data person, I don't entirely understand, except part of it being that the way that it's up there on the dashboard can't be used by someone who's trying to do some data research.
It's not the raw data.
Huh?
I don't think it's the raw data. I think it goes through.
Dr. Carpenter, can you just sort of make us understand or try
I haven't looked at it in months either, so I don't know what's up there now.
and I don't mean to pick on you.
Sure, that's all right. But the two big things, the last time I looked, which was months ago, when it was first out, was that as opposed to other city dashboards that have a click button where you can actually download as a CSV file, so like data on home energy uses and all the information for all the other departments and all the other cities is organized so you download the data and then you do your own analysis of it. The police dashboard does not have that option. So that means someone, for example, like me, could not actually download the data and analyze it in any way. I'm not sure why that is. I know the person who developed the police dashboard is different from the person who developed all the other ones. That could be part of it. But also, the last time I checked, like, the numbers didn't seem to add up they didn't add up. And I wasn't sure if that was just a communication error between the dashboard and Clemens or what, but it didn't seem like things were being reported in a way that I could understand or make use of.
So, and I know that we were also told that some of this that we have requested, we asked for, with regard to traffic stops, the date, time, and duration and location of all the stops, the area where the officer was assigned, the reason for the stop, the year, make, model of the vehicle, the driver's perceived ethnicity and gender identity, the number and ethnicity of passengers, if any police action taken, including whether there was a warning or a citation, specific citations, if one was issued, whether any occupant was frisked or searched, whether the vehicle was frisked or searched, whether consent to the search was sought, and whether it was provided, whether the occupant was arrested, and if so, any and all charges, whether the vehicle stop resulted in recovery of contraband. You know, so I don't know why it can't be loaded on into something. But what I'm asking the commission at this point, I believe we should proceed with preparing another resolution. And I talked with Councilperson Harrison earlier today. She was willing to sponsor. I don't know if you want to co-sponsor and get this back in front of council. So, and then if there's something that the department cannot provide, I think they ought to tell us why. Not just that it's inconvenient, but, you know, we're talking about transparency and we need the data. So,
Can I ask a question? Maybe I'm missing something. So the study that Mr. Carpiak did was just specifically for traffic stops, not with any other stuff that's listed in there.
Right.
Okay. So that's what I was trying to. And you're saying when you go in depth a step further with what the police are doing per stop.
right,
Okay.
right. Who are they stopping and what happens after the stop?
Okay.
You know, if they stop Dr. Carpiak, are they just, hey guy, you were going too fast, watch it. And if they stop me, give me a ticket. That's the only way I know we can look at disparities. Councilperson Haynes?
Yeah, so is that resolution as it stands right now comprehensive enough that we could add a statement requesting that that information be provided on a regular basis to the commission?
I think so. This says within 6 months of the ordinance, and then it also, I'm pretty sure it says on a periodic basis.
I don't think it was an ordinance update. There wasn't a public hearing. It's, right, so,
So does it need to be an ordinance, or does it
no,
have to be a
it would be
resolution?
a resolution, but I can't remember if it was dictated to the city administrator's office in the resolution or specifically to.
So for it
The
to,
chief.
it says for official council action, it would need to go to council as a resolution to take action on. So it doesn't need to be an ordinance. It needs to be a resolution that goes to city council to take action. So technically, you guys can use the same language as the one that's in there. It just needs to go as an action, not communication.
And that's what it was assumed to have been because we didn't reuse the word action?
Nope, it was presented under the agenda as communication, not action. So certain agenda items on city council, there's certain ones that go under each section. That only went under the communication section. So it wasn't a resolution to take action upon, to be voted on. It was just communication like, hey, the Transportation Commission, Human Rights Commission, IPOC Commission, we have this resolution, we're communicating this to you, and this is what we like for it to be done. But it wasn't like, we like this to be taken action upon, put it into place so we can have this data.
Because it's assumed that everyone in council would support it. There was no, there would be no votes against it.
Correct.
I mean, it's a communication that we are sending to staff, directing them to understand that this is something we expect to
Yes.
be coordinated between city staff and this commission and the chair. So I don't know if the ball was dropped between chairs or if it wasn't specific enough. It was more, I think it was an understanding that we had with Administrator Dahoney to keep up that relationship. So it's something that I think we should have just made sure it was actually resolving into reports. You know.
Commissioner Alaka?
So based on the driving air quality ordinance that exists, if I want data on the stops, specific data about the stops,
Correct.
who is to be collecting that data and who would be asked
wondering, rather than naming a person, because I think what might have happened between 2021, whenever this was initially talked about, is that whoever was collecting the data is no longer there.
It's not a
So,
person's name, it's a title.
right, designate a person,
A title.
a title, who would be responsible for collecting and transmitting the data. Why don't we do this? I will ask Ms. Cummings to get everybody a copy of the resolution out in your email tomorrow. And take a look at it. We can tweak it, whatever, and particularly for our council folks to let us know what else needs to be in here.
I think we probably need a meeting with State Administrator Mahoney and just check with him and check with our new chief too and see if he's aware of this, of both the ordinance and the resolution, to see where they are on it.
So to clarify, Interim Chief McGuire was aware of the resolution ordinance, and some of the information is being collected already. I'm not sure who was the one in NRBP collecting it or like saving it or like have like the exact information. I know the data is being collected. I'm just not sure like who or what title. And then as for who would it go to, primarily if you guys would like this information, it'll probably go to me as your staff liaison, and then it'll be shared with you all as commissioners.
Yeah, I think in the conversation we should ask for the actual files, the CSV files, just the raw data too, just so that there's some room for interpretation or just let other folks, because Dr. Karpiak is not the only person in the universe that's interested in this data. We've got a lot of, this is a very nerdy town. Everyone loves raw data, so.
So I'm happy to send that resolution out tomorrow for everyone to review, and then if you have any changes or edits, just you can I'll make it a Word document, that way you can make those changes and edits to it, and then as a follow-up, a meeting with the chief and City Administrator Dohoney, we'll go forth and we can discuss it further.
But before we do that, I would like a motion from one of the commissioners for us to move forward with a resolution to take action with regard to collection of data, of the traffic stop data. Second, okay. Resolution to take action. All right, any more discussion on the motion?
It was okay, perfect, thank you. I was trying to see who voted.
Okay, got it?
Yep.
Any more discussion? Okay, then, all in favor, the motion is for the commission to move forward with a new resolution to take action, asking council to take action with regard to collection of traffic stop data.
So, yes, are we doing a new resolution or are we just enhancing that?
Yeah, this is going to be our basis for what we
Okay,
do.
so
as we
we're
move
not
forward.
starting a new one. We're going to just enhance that one. I was just asking for the verbiage that you were using, the wording that you were using.
Well, it has to be a new resolution, but it'll be based on,
Okay.
it'll be based on what we've already done.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Any other discussion, questions?
So just, if I can just clarify, so that resolution was passed before before Councilmember Harrison introduced her. So just to figure out the timeline, we asked for this data largely because Dr. Karpiak and our former TikTok chair had pushed for it. The city was kind of dragging its feet. I shouldn't say delaying, dragging its feet in sharing the data. So that's the history behind the resolution itself. And then later on, the equity driving equality ordinance came into effect. So it was just one before the other.
Right, right. Okay, anything else? All in favor of the motion to prepare a resolution to City Council to take action regarding the Ann Arbor Traffic Transparency Ordinance and to use as a basis for the new ordinance, the old resolution. I'm saying ordinance, but it's a resolution.
It's a resolution.
It's a resolution.
But we can reference the ordinance. now that we have the ordinance.
Now that we can reference it, all right. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes, and so Ms. Cummings will get everybody this resolution. Can you take a look at it within the next couple of days and get back if you have any changes, additions, whatever, and then we'll set up a meeting.
Yeah. And then just for folks who are unaware, the resolution ordinance, the ordinance is enforceable. So like when we had a ceasefire resolution not too long ago, clearly cannot enforce that. But it was a resolution. It was a statement of will, some purpose, so, but ordinances are actually enforceable as some authority and results.
And it just, you have to know, when I first got this, took a look at this, what I thought we were supposed to be getting, I don't remember who I asked, but I said, this is only a resolution. They said, no, that's all council needs to do is pass a resolution, because resolutions would direct city employees, ordinances are for the public. And that's where I got the idea that this was enforceable. So just have to make sure you go to the right source to get the proper information. Okay, thank you on that. We're going to move forward. Speaking of, will be Chief Anderson tomorrow. The swearing in is tomorrow at noon in council chambers. So if anyone wants to come, that will be good. I do plan to be there. I spoke with him about coming to our March meeting. We had talked last month about having a public forum in March, and I know the Outreach Committee had done some work on that. I don't know if that's going to be possible for March. We may have to move it to April. I think he wants to come and meet with ICPOC first, and then open it up, to the public. So I don't know if Peace Neighborhood will be available. I have another place in mind, but maybe the outreach folks have something else in mind as well.
What time is that tomorrow, please?
Noon in council chambers. Okay. Because he was not here. Okay, I'll do that after. Remind me. Okay. The annual report. Sure.
Police chief, you had mentioned meeting with the police chief as a public forum.
Right.
Will there be an opportunity for this commission to meet with the police chief individually, separately, to have a conversation with the police chief about police training?
Yes. Now, I've had emails back and forth with the person who's doing his scheduling for him. I believe he's amenable to meeting informally with members of the commission. It's just a matter of setting that up, and there's some issues right now with getting on his calendar. But if you all let me know, how many would like to meet informally, just as commissioners, as folks, to get to meet him and talk to him? Commissioner Lack wants to talk about training, and anybody else might want to come to that meeting?
Yes.
Okay, we can't really have a meeting because we're still subject to open meetings, but I'll try to set that up. Okay. Okay. Annual report. I sent out, did everybody get in their email the annual report? Okay. Any comments, additions, questions? I also sent a copy to our previous two chairs who were chair in 2023 to see if they had any additions, and they did. And I know Commissioner Pipkins did respond. I didn't get anything else. I spoke with Kimberly. and her last name is escaping me right now, but she's in the communications office, and she's the one who printed up, we had some little flyers printed up. She does a great job. She's gonna set this up to be printed. We're gonna send it out to Dollar Bill Printing. It's gonna be in a folder, in a report form with our logo on the front. And, the only thing that we had, Commissioner Milgram helped with the, formatting, and, you can see where, Ms. Cummings did the, graphics to go in it. And I think, except for, conclusion, it's pretty well ready to go. Anybody else?
I have one. So you said print it off to give out where?
Well, we're gonna deliver copies to the mayor and council. Want to have a few in the office if people want it, but mainly it's gonna go out electronically. Yeah, to everybody who's on our list. We'll get out an electronic copy.
Would it also be on the web?
Yeah, sure. So, I said, when I talked to the, office today for the setup, they indicated, they said how many to be printed. I said, maybe 30. I didn't have any idea. But if we give one to all the council, I'm sure all the commissioners will want a hard copy. I don't know, what do you all think? Everybody, it will go out, electronically.
Go 50.
50,
50 is a good number somehow.
and then we'll have some extras in the office if
You
somebody.
can also give it to other commissioners, like other commissions like human rights, subsidy, and other commissions.
Okay. All right, so are we ready to go? So if you have any changes, or corrections or additions, anything you can think of that we did last year that you want to put in the report, get it to me by the end of the week, please. And I will, I'll add. Okay? So, I'm going to ask for a motion approving the final draft of the ICPOC 2023. Not yet, no. Because if there are additions, I'll send that out as well. But I think as is, since we've got nothing right now. Let's approve, because we might not get anything. So, and I'm going to add a conclusion. Nobody helped me with the conclusion. So, and Commissioner Milgram had suggested a conclusion, and I vetoed that. Because it talked about what the new chair is doing, and I'm not doing anything new, so I took that out. So, if you have something, let me know. By the end of the week, it's going to printer. Okay, so I asked for a motion to approve this draft with the addition of a conclusion to be written.
Second.
Any further discussion on the annual report? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The report is approved. I got a citizen contacted me and sent me information. They're requesting that we look into the issue of shoot to wound rather than shoot to kill. This is from an attorney, and I'll read you what the attorney said. In 1976, I represented a white police officer who was being sued after after he shot and killed a black man fleeing from a robbery. The officer arrived on the scene of a robbery in progress. Two men were attempting to flee from the building where the robbery took place. The officer ordered the men to halt, but they continued to flee. He fired his gun at one of the men. Following his training, he aimed at the upper torso. The man went down and the officer could see he was mortally wounded. He then made a split-second decision that saved a life. He fired his gun at the legs of the other man. The man went down and was arrested. Police officers are taught that they should only shoot at a person if the circumstances would justify taking the person's life. Therefore, they shoot to kill. But couldn't they be taught in some circumstance they have a discretion to shoot to wound? While shooting to wound may result in death, it is less likely to do so. Would the recent police shooting in Philadelphia have been non-fatal if an officer had fired at the knee of the man wielding a knife? And they sent me a copy of this is from the Ann Arbor News about the man wounded. One of the alleged burglars was wounded and the other killed. So, I don't know if this is something that the commission wants to take up. There are a lot of issues here, and some of them involve, I think, with the unarmed response thing. I was watching something, my husband talked about me because I watch all these police shows and murder things happen. And there was something that was in one of these states where there's a lot of cornfields and, just out. And there were two men who had escaped from prison. And they were on the loose, and they tracked them down to this farmhouse. And the police surrounded the farmhouse, and they said, "Come out with your hands up." And the men came out, and one of them kind of reached for his belt. And they shot him with, what did they call them? They didn't say rubber bullets. It was bean bags. And when they shot him, it knocked him out. And then they went over and got him up, and handcuffed him and took him away. And I said, why can't we use something other than bullets that are going to kill people? There's also something, I looked this up on YouTube, non-lethal weapons. And they have all kinds of things that they can shoot you with. And it'll hurt and it'll stop you most of the time. But it won't kill. So I understand the police perspective. I really do. And they don't want to, especially with the kinds of weapons that folks have on the streets these days. But I don't know. Do we want to, with everything else we have to do we want to look at it? Maybe the training committee wants to at least talk about whether we want to take a look at shoot to wound or some other kind of non-lethal training.
I certainly agree that looking at various different alternate kinds of weaponry, our police officers already carry a lot of things on their body. Between tasers and their firearms, as well as their walkie-talkies and their phones and everything else. They're carrying a lot of stuff on their persons already. Ask them to carry additional things on their body. That's one thing to consider. The other thing to consider, certainly, and there's got to be research on this, is accuracy. Accuracy of shooting. It's much harder to hit a knee than it is a torso. And if you miss, and the person you're shooting at is armed, you've missed. So there's that to research and to look into, especially as it relates to training. The torso is a much larger
Thank you. And it's something, if you all look into it, and then, something else to talk to the new chief about, and the training officers about. Okay? Good, thank you very much. So that issue of shoot to wound or less lethal force has been referred to the training committee. Let me see, I talked about our March meeting, and I'm going to talk with the chief about, meeting with us informally. And the last thing, we will have our elections in May. Is that right? I think that's right. I think that's what you told me.
Election.
Officers. Chair.
No, your thing's not up until next year. The commission is supposed to have a vice chair, so
Right.
anyone like a vice chair, but we looked at your expiration, and your officer role wasn't until last year is when you when the motion was passed for you to be chair. So
I hate to question you, Miss Cummings.
don't question me all the time. I am questioned all the time. Yep.
No,
So last year in 2023, when the former chair resigned, it was Chair Carter who then took over. I looked at the meeting minutes of that meeting, and you guys motioned to approve her as the chair
When was it?
last year.
What month?
I believe it was at the May meeting.
May. Maybe that's why May is in my
Yeah,
mind.
so May of 2023.
Yeah,
Her
usually,
term as officer is not up. She has one more year.
So May of this year, though, I think we should elect a vice chair. Now, one commissioner has already expressed interest, and so I'm just putting that out there. In May, if you have an interest in being vice chair, if you have an interest in being the chair, but it looks like
So if you'd like to resign, you can. You can do that as well. Well, y'all have to vote for a new chair.
okay,
But that's as it stands currently.
okay. So yes,
usually officers are being, the end of the term is May 31st.
that's what I thought.
And at that time, there will be a vote to either reappoint the chair, vice chair, or if others are interested in becoming chair, vice chair, also can vote then. So it's basically 1 year.
I can forward you our communication again when I look into it. I just don't have it up right now. But your term is
I'm
not.
not going to question you.
Okay.
So in May,
Okay, go back and find it.
at our May meeting, if someone else wants to be chair, we can have it. I'm willing to stay on another year. If anyone wants to be vice chair, we'll have that election, whatever it's going to be.
You'll be by commission. You'll be the chair.
But we need a vice chair.
The vice chair, this is the kind of post that we have to really fill, and whoever wants to run for that or
Right.
occupy that office, that's also important.
All right, that is all that I have. If there are any other comments on anything that I have brought up, if not, we're going to move on to the next item on our agenda, which is old business.
Do we have any old business? None was submitted, so we have none.
No old business. Is there any new business that anyone wants to bring before the commission?
We have no new business, and there was none presented. So I'll go to the committee.
Report from the committees.
Nobody's here for policy committee,
Okay.
training committee. Update.
Training committee has no report, but we are looking at a video.
Yes.
That when the other half of the training committee looks at it, we may be able to discuss it at the next meeting. And I did say the next. We had planned March to perhaps have a public forum, but we will not be doing that. Okay. Outreach. Anything?
Yes, so just a few items. One, Chair Carty already sort of touched on our Meet the Chief event, which was going to be run concurrently with one of our meetings, either March or April. Looks like we're going to shoot for April for that, and we were thinking Peace Neighborhood Center. So we'll have to double check that. If that's not available, I'd love to hear suggestions about possible locations. Off the top of my head, I know, I'm not sure if we'd be invited, but I know that Lori Terrace has a large space on the top floor, like a conference space that they use. It's down
Jackson Road, down close to Chapin.
Actually,
It's on the corner of Chapin and Jackson.
It's right at West Park.
Oh, okay.
So that's, I could reach out to them if the Peace Neighborhood Center is not available.
Could we also reach out to Airwood?
Arrowwood? Yeah, I just saw that on
They have a
in the
meeting
report.
space. They have a space.
Okay, I'll write that
Just
down.
a quick comment about public forums. When we have public forums, can we make sure that they're on bus lines?
Good, very good.
There's also the city's, Burns Park Senior, there's a space
The senior
there,
center
the
there?
senior center.
Is that easy to get to?
I know, I mean, it's right around the corner from the school, so,
There's a couple of lots off of Packard's bus line. So it's
yeah.
There's a
some
parking lot.
yeah. There's also the neutral zone. I used to be on the board there, so there's meeting space there. That's right, that's only like a block from the transit center and a block from parking garage.
We had a one-time meeting at the library branch on Westgate.
Okay. They have a meeting room?
Yes, they do have a meeting room.
And you can bring food into all the library branches.
That'd be a good one.
Good ideas. Good idea.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, and it looks like April, and then weather will be better and more time to publicize it and get the word out.
So beyond that, we were basically brainstorming possible events, outreach events, that public forum being the first of those. We were also considering for IPOC to participate in some form or fashion in the Ann Arbor's Juneteenth event, and connecting with the Ann Arbor NAACP chapter. Another idea that we had, again, just to sort of introduce ourselves to the community, would be to have possibly an ICPOC Saturday at the market, see if we could set up a table, get some of our materials together, and maybe even take shifts, a couple commissioners to a shift, and just sort of let people know that we're here and we're a resource. And possibly, we don't meet over the summer,
June and July. No,
July was
July and August.
July and August. We don't have a formal meeting, but possibly if we got a booth sometime over the summer that some of us could be at, or at the stand, that might be a nice way to convene. And then we discussed, if we're doing these events, what we would like to have at these meetings or meetups with the community. Possibly a newsletter, one of our more recent newsletters to hand out. Possibly a raffle. This would also help us get people's email addresses for our mailing list. We have them sign up, enter them in a raffle, and maybe they get a T-shirt or some sort of swag. Which brings us to advertising. We are going to get more involved with our social media, which we do have, and I can start in with that. I'd be happy to take a but our webpage, keeping that up to date, distribute any information through our subscriber list, and then develop, and this is sort of for all of us to decide at some point, but I was told that we do have a little bit of a budget, so possibly promotional materials that we could hand out at events. I know we got our trusty mugs, but possibly something like bumper stickers, and Arbor loves a bumper sticker. T-shirts, keychains with our logo, and then possibly, again, leading into the next bullet point, coming up with a slogan. Something catchy, something shorter than Independent Community Police Oversight Commission, and maybe a little friendlier on the ear than ICPOC. Just saying. Nothing against any of that, but something a little catchy, and maybe again to promote community involvement. We could possibly get a social media campaign going where we ask community members to submit their suggestions for the slogan, and we can then vote on it. Winning slogan, gets to have their slogan in print, and then maybe also on a T-shirt or something thereof that they win by being selected. So these are also, get out of jail free card was one of the one of our little swags, little things like that just you hand out and it catches somebody's attention. And, I don't know about that. Yeah, but so just something that's sort of gets a conversation going, gets people talking, and enhances our presence in the community. I think a big part of our mission is just to allow people to know that there's a resource, that we are a resource, that there are other options, or, if they feel unheard or marginalized in any way, that they do have a place they can come and where, we will take them seriously and listen. So, and then moving forward, we'd love to, although it's right now, it's not possible, but, moving forward, talking about working with schools and other community organizations, other commissions, and also, and just the way I would hope this kind of evolves is working, we're sort of on the back end of this process where we're hearing grievances and complaints after something has happened and occurred, working with organizations that might be more on the front end where we can, help and partner with other commissions to sort of mitigate these occurrences from happening, so that we're not constantly talking about what is our response and was the response appropriate.
Can I add one event, if you don't mind? So August 24th is the Park Ridge Summer Festival and Joe Doolin Community Day. Even though that's not in Ann Arbor, considering that we police folks who come in from Ann Arbor, from our neighboring communities, it might be worth having a presence there. Kathy Wyatt from the Sheriff's Office is one of the
Park Ridge.
Yep, Park Ridge Summer Festival and Joe Doolin Community Day, August 24th. City Council's meeting, so I'm really sorry, but I do have one quick update, if you don't mind. It's that budgeting so the police budget, the draft police budget will be given to City Council on March 6th, and then the presentations will also be on YouTube. So I'll send you the link. This is from Kennedy. I'll forward it to you. This is from Sarah Higgins, and then we'll be getting the city administrator's budget proposal to council in April. We voted on it in May. New budget cycle starts July 1. So if you have thoughts besides community events, the race for Kennedy, I don't know. Let me forward it to you, but otherwise I don't have an update. Thank you very much about that. Yeah, it's President's Day. We would have met yesterday, but could put us back to today. You're welcome to come upstairs if you like. It's usually just me arguing with Holocaust deniers, so we always have a good time.
Is the next meeting on the 2nd?
mean, that is where we left things for this cycle. And ideally, once we get our game plan together with, being at some of these events, having a table set up, having our materials, it'll become easier to jump on different events, and also just partnering with events that are already happening rather than having to organize them, although we can do that as well. But it just sort of helps maximize our efforts.
Is that Park-Ridge community? That's already planned. We had printed some, and I'll bring them to the next meeting, some little flyers with IPOC. And we shared a table at the last Juneteenth. We shared a table with Human Rights Commission and the, who else? There was another commission. Anyway, we shared a table. And at that time, we thought about, a table cover with our logo on the front.
Harry Potter.
What?
Apologize, that was my text.
Oh, okay. Oh, no, I thought somebody was objecting to our logo. So, we have the funds to have a table cover printed. Is that something that we ought to have?
Information, the budget is all set, stay the same. Yes, we're good.
So we don't have to get it approved through city council. That's what they're going to do.
Yeah, no, it's already,
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we have we have the budget for everybody who wants to go to IPOC. I'm sorry, who wants to go to NACO. This fall, October, it's going to be in Tucson. So think about it. It's a very good learning experience. And I think Saturday. Now, do you know with Saturdays at the market, do we have to rent a space?
I don't know. I think yes. I think typically yes. I'm hoping that maybe from one commission to another, they could maybe help us out and give us space. But I'm sure we can work something
I
out.
mean, we're not flush with cash, but we have funds to do that kind of thing.
Like I said, I'm a regular at the market.
Yeah.
I know everybody there. Stephanie is the manager there. I did have a chat with her to see if we can carve out a corner.
That would be great.
7 or 8 to 3 feet on Saturdays, so we have to cover most of that time.
Yeah.
Be there at 7 o'clock in the morning, but
That's good.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, possibly shifts of maybe 2 commissioners at a time, just to show some presence. And I'm sure not everybody will be able to make it on that day, on the given day, but it would be nice to establish something that we could do each year even.
I'll talk to Stephanie Saturday.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would suggest also if you have one of those fridge magnets,
Yeah.
and you can have the logo as well as our mission on that, and any contact information like.
And it's something to give up.
Yeah, and you can do it.
Well, I will, since I'm already, Kimberly Mortson, that's the lady's name in the communication office who did the flyers before. And I think she can get us a table cover printed up to our logo. So we'll have that.
I have a question. She made a good point in reference to the slogan or it being abbreviated. Can it be less than what it is or no? Like, can it be like a CPC, Community Police Commission? Or,
We change our name?
not change it, but to where it's less, like you don't have every, I don't know.
I just, I called it, I came with ice park, but they said egg park. So I was, really.
I didn't throw it out to people to try and come up with a slogan.
a little tagline. I think would be fun.
Sounds good.
I have a question, or maybe it's more of a comment, but I'm looking at the first thing, meet the chief. I'm concerned about how we frame that. Are we inviting the community to come out and meet the new police chief? Or are we inviting the police chief to come and meet the community? And I think the latter is probably, in my head, the better way.
Okay.
It's saying that the police chief has a vested interest in what the community is thinking, how the community relates to the police department. It kind of opens it up and says, well, yes, the chief is interested in what we have to say and what we want to do.
Okay. I like that.
And the chief should be invited to a public event, whether through the chair invited the chief, because we had the same thing last meeting where interim chief was there for a meeting.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Well, we had,
Are we gonna lose our quorum?
Yes, so if we don't have a quorum, we cannot vote.
That I heard from both, because I gotta leave too.
I don't know that, well, the complaint type, there's still a report from,
what we can do is we can basically print that and we can present the just on the side. It's not, we're not going to vote on it anyway.
we already did the types though, right?
Yeah.
We already did.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much. And you know what, we're just, okay. Let's hear from, thank you for your report very much. Let's hear from, information managers. And then,
Oh, I printed them out.
Yeah, I know you have that. Is it possible?
The Zoom presentation is just how to be able to.
Oh, you can. Okay. So what we have over here is basically to tie the different complaints, and the idea behind that is basically to look at terms used by complainants and to give some kind of weight to the words. And if someone says was rude, aggressive, disrespectful, that has some type of weight. But if there was a word like targeted has a little bit more weight than being rude, because people feel that they are discriminated against. And to the best of our ability is trying to just simplify the different types. Type 1 basically is the rudeness, aggressive, being disrespectful, inappropriate, etc. Those terms that were used. Type 2 is an arrest, and with arrest comes with, like, the handcuffs were too tight. I would add also excessive force. I would add illegal arrest. For type 3 is basically anything that's targeted, discriminated against, bias, etc. Racial was with type 3. Type 4 is when police is initiating a report and the report is not complete, or there is no follow-up or no updates to the complainants. So those ones were included in type 4. Type 5 is if there's any kind of trespassing. And you can see that trespassing is probably the smallest. And if you look at the chart over here, the green is type 1, the blue is type 2, the orange, ochre, whatever is type 3, red is type 4. And you can see that in general, is type 1 is the you look at number three, um, racial or discrimination or targeted, probably like tending towards a decline. Um, the only thing over here is with 2023 is we have only 17 complaints. This is why probably the number shows a little bit of a drop. But if the number was like in the 20s, we might see more of the different types over here. Again, this is really a basic thing to see what can be done. If you look, number one is something that is part of the policies. 012 is how the officer conducts him or herself when in public, when interacting with complainants. To be courteous, to be understanding, to be not using any kind of profanity, not to use any kind of, it's just almost accommodating the complainants or the citizens. Type 2 is something that really an arrest sometimes is warranted. And there is no arrest that is not based on information or based on warrant against the person. Targeted, there were a couple of incidences where individuals felt they were targeted, especially African Americans, but the two incidents happened to be at night, and we know that at night it's really hard to relate the color of individual versus being stopped. But it's something that we have to take into account when we look at the data. The other stuff that is troubling sometimes is when there is no full reporting, or missing something, or not taking the report, or not following, or updating the complaints. And those things are part of also the policies. So many of those we see over here can be corrected by either targeting training or by implementing the policies, or if there are policies that are updated or outdated, they need to be updated. So these are the things that we probably would recommend, maybe in our recommendations as well as part of recommendations in the annual report based on some of these findings. If one is going to be more elaborate in analyzing, they will find that sometimes certain complaints have more than one type. But just for the sake of simplicity, I chose the which term had more weight and used that. But there are times when you feel that it's both being rude and being targeted. But that is a different type of analysis, and probably might be more cumbersome to present that. I think if one is doing a paper, that would be a different story, but we are trying just to make it easy, especially for our community. When you make it a little bit easy, something like this, people can relate to that. But if you're going to say, well, type 1 and 4, it just becomes a little bit more of, it just adds more complexity to the analysis. So this is what we have. I think in total we have about 102 complaints. And we are marching through finishing those and having them done. And hopefully by our next meeting, all this stuff will be in place.
Are there any other, we had our city council update. We had the complaint types analysis, thank you. Any communications? All right. Because we can't vote to adjourn, so you all have to just stay. All right, we're going to adjourn. But we can't vote.
No, you won't do a vote, you'll just say meeting adjourned.
Meeting adjourned.
As the chair.
As the chair, you say meeting adjourned at whatever time. Oh, are you saying it? I'm sorry.
I just, yes.
Well, the chair can initiate, start the meeting.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
What time is it?
7:18.
It is 7:18.